With the Masha's Multicolors challenge currently live, I thought this was the perfect time to show you some of the multicolored bracelets in my bracelet collection. As I was going through my collection when I filmed my collection update a few weeks ago, I realized that I actually have quite a lot of bracelets that fit this criteria. Of course I've made more than that, I've given a lot away, but I thought I'd show you the bracelets that I have. I had so much fun going through my collection and picking out the bracelets for this video because there are so many that I just completely forgot about. This was such a nostalgia trip for me. With that in mind, there are actually a few bracelets here which I don't remember the pattern for. I always try to link the patterns in the description whenever I make any kind of collection video, so I'll do that for the ones that I remember, which is most of them. But if you see a pattern and you know the pattern, please comment it and then I'll update the description for everyone else. I guess let's go. This is not gonna be chronological whatsoever. I'm gonna start with these ones, which are actually relatively recent and you might remember these bracelets. These are all the same pattern, even though I made them at 3 different points. I think I started with this one, and then as I was making it, I realized that actually I don't think that it looks great. I thought that the pink blended too much with the actual color and it didn't stand out enough. You can't really tell what the design is supposed to be when in comparison to this one, which uses the exact same multicolored string, but a black background. You can very clearly see the design. It got to the point where I made, I think, about this much of the bracelet, and then I started untying it because I didn't have much of the multicolored string and I wanted to save it. I didn't want to waste it. And so I started untying the bracelet to completely unravel it. It took so long. If you've ever untied bracelets, you know that that takes a ridiculous amount of time. And then I was like, okay, I'm just gonna start this one, see how it goes with a black background. And then as I made more of this one, I realized that actually I quite like how this looks, so I finished it anyway. You can't really see the design, but I think it looks cute anyway as it is. And then this one was made with an entirely different multicolored string, and I started this bracelet, I cut the strings for it, I think I even did the loop, and then I just forgot about it to the point where I found this unfinished bracelet in my collection a while later and I couldn't even remember what pattern it was. I had to search through my to-dos by the number of colors and by the number of strings to be able to figure out what pattern this was supposed to be. This ended up being a video in itself where I made a mystery bracelet as a Not With Me because I didn't know what it was when I found it. So I ended up with 3 bracelets of the same pattern, which is quite fun. But I do really recommend this pattern. For any kind of multicolored bracelet, you'll see this as a trend throughout as I show you more. I either use them as a background for alphas, which is pretty self-explanatory, or if I'm making a normal pattern, I try to go with something that either has 2 colors like this one or something that has an outline, like this pattern, for example. I feel like that ends up giving definition to the bracelet and specifically to the multicolored string. It kind of pops out a little bit more. And you see that here where, again, it's the same pattern, which I didn't even realize I made 2 bracelets of this pattern. So that's kind of funny. I just found them. I don't think I ever knew that this was the same pattern. But you can see how in this one, the color pops out a lot more than in this one. And I guess the design pops out more because maybe the outline contrasts with the color a bit more. I say that, this is brown, so maybe I'm just, you know, not being very truthful here, I don't know. But I think that this looks really nice as well. I did one in kind of a yellow and one in more of earthy tones. I really like the way that I did the loop here as well. This is the multicolored string. I didn't change the colors here, but I like how it turned out. And I like the teardrop loop. I haven't been making teardrop loops as much recently. I should get back on that. They're really cute. But yeah, I have no memory of making this twice. I think I made them as 2 separate bracelets at 2 separate times without realizing that I actually made the same pattern twice. This is another bracelet. This one is quite old for me. I think I made this back in like 2019, 2018, something like that. I remember making this in Florida when I was on the beach. I have some family in Florida that I occasionally visit. I just have a specific memory of that happening. I also made a mistake here. I didn't quite connect the teardrop loop correctly. There's a knot missing. There should be a knot between those 2 white strings and there just isn't. Just kind of interesting. But this one was pretty cool. I like the concept of it where everything is kind of gray in grayscale and then you have this one string that's popping out in the center. I think that this is really cool and I do miss making teardrop loops. I should make more of them. But yeah, you should be kind of sensing a pattern here. As I said, most of these either have like 2 colors or some kind of an outline. This is another case where I tried something but then I realized that actually you can barely see the design in this one. I feel like the white blended too much with the light pink and the light purple within the variated string, and you can't really tell what the design is supposed to be. Like, it looks cute, it's nice, but what was the pattern again? Like, what's going on here? I can't quite tell. So I think that that is something to think about for sure when you're making any kind of multicolored string bracelet. Is it going to contrast enough with the other colors in the pattern, and is it going to contrast enough along all of it? Because it looks fine where the dark purple is, it looks fine where the dark pink is, but in the lighter colors you can barely tell them apart. This is a really old bracelet, to the point where I think I must have made this in like 2013 or something like that. I can tell because of the type of loop that I used here. I used to make loops with square knots for whatever reason. I don't know why I did that. And then after I did the loops, I would tie overhand knots because I was concerned that my strings were gonna unravel. They won't, but I used to do that. And then you can also see that I tied my bracelet so tightly that it is completely wonky. Like, it's not in a straight line. You can pop it in and out because of how tight it is. I think knot tension is something that you do for sure learn with practice. That's a question that I get all the time, like, how do I get all my knots to be consistent? There's no trick to it, you just have to practice. I think back then I used to think that the tighter you make the knots, the better it will be, which isn't necessarily the case. And so I ended up with really tight, like, this is really hard, really tight and kind of wiggly bracelets because of the tension. But the point is, this is the vertical wave bracelet. I've made more of them since then, but I've given them away. We did a giveaway for my book release, and I gave away a bunch of those, and I also gave away a few to my patrons, so I don't have any other ones. This is just the oldest one that I have. But I think that the vertical wave bracelet is a great one to use variated string in. And I think both of these are multicolored string. So we've got a yellow that goes from kind of an orange into a light yellow and then back, and then a purple that goes from a dark purple to a light purple. And I think this looks really cool. Maybe I should make another vertical wave bracelet. These are so easy to make. It's like an alpha, but a very easy alpha. And it has 2 leading strings. So I feel like this bracelet is very beginner friendly, by the way. If you want to try it, you should. I have a tutorial for it. This is another more recent bracelet. I mean, I say that, I made this like a year ago. Also, don't the ties just look perfect? I love this. I love the rainbow. But there was a rainbow string that someone gifted me. I'm going to show you the first bracelet I made from it later on, because it's further in the pile. But I forgot about that rainbow string because I used a little bit of it, and then I was like, oh, I don't want to waste it. And then I forgot that it existed. And so when I found it again, I'm like, why is it just there? And I was so afraid of wasting it that I never ended up using it. So I used it and I made this bracelet, and I think it's so cool. It turned out wonderfully. I love this one. I wear it out a lot. I get a lot of compliments on it. It's probably one of my favorite bracelets ever. Which is another video I'm thinking about doing. I'm thinking of doing a few bracelet collection videos where I show you bracelets of a specific theme, like the multicolored ones, but then I also think I might do one with my favorite bracelets ever. So this is a bit of a spoiler for that future video that I might film. This is one of my favorite bracelets ever. But I just think that this is a really cool pattern as well. And you know, it follows the theme. Whenever I do these, I do now try to push myself a little bit with my boundaries, because whenever I go for some kind of an outline, I always do black and white. So like white for the background, black for the outline. You'll see that more. A little bit of a spoiler for the next one I'm about to show you, but this one as well. Like, you see the same theme, right? Like white background, black outline. I try to push myself more. I think that's why I tried this, which didn't quite work. And also why I did this one. And I think this one did work. But yeah, it definitely is kind of a box that I've put myself into that I'm trying to push out of. But yeah, speaking of which, this is also very much another favorite of mine. This one also uses a kind of rainbow string, but more of a pastel variety and more pink and purple, I guess. I also made 2 twisted ties on each side for this bracelet, which I guess there was a lot of strings maybe, but it just feels a little bit awkward. I usually only make 2 ties when there's a loop on the other side. Speaking of which, people have asked me how to tie bracelets with a loop. You put one of the strings through the loop, and you don't put the other one through. Imagine your hand is here, and then you kind of tie it together, right? And so that way it's secure. And that's why I make 2 whenever I have a loop, so that I can put one through and one not. But this one has triangle ends, and I have 2 coming off either side, which means that I either have to tie them like both together at the same time, like this, or tie 2 knots separately, which, to be fair, isn't actually a bad thing. It's a little bit annoying, but there was a moment when I was traveling last year. I was going around Europe by train. It was a really fun trip, but I took a bunch of my bracelets with me, and one of them would have fallen off if it didn't have 2 ties either side, because one of them unraveled and the other one held it together. So maybe it's not such a bad thing, but it is a little bit annoying. Anyway, bracelet-wise, Love this pattern. I think I also filmed a knot with me for this one, as I did for the previous one. If there's going to be any videos, I'll also have those linked in the description. But I think this one is really cool. I also like how I modified it a little bit because obviously the pattern itself kind of connects the two parts. But then at the beginning, I changed the pattern a little bit so that I can have this point. And then I did the same on the other side, and I feel like that looks really nice. Yeah. Let's move on to some of the alphas. The alphas are pretty self-explanatory. Like, I try to use them as a background, and then for the actual design, I either have something that's like one color or text, and that's usually like black or white or something. Or if it is some kind of a design, I have a design in the center and I try to keep it relatively simple. I think this one works really well because obviously it's a jellyfish and the jellyfish is in water. And so the water is this multicolored, beautiful string. I think it turned out lovely. This is the back as well. I like to show the backs of alphas because sometimes people think that they look the same on both sides, but they don't. The only difficulty with this one specifically is because I used a different brand of string for the background, the knots were kind of a different size and a different tension, only ever so slightly, but it did make it quite difficult to knot the middle of it. Because obviously this is all the same, but when you have strings that make different sized knots, it can mess up your rows. So that's why I try to keep my strings of the same brand whenever I'm making alpha bracelets, or at least strings that I know make similar sized knots. But I really love this pattern. This is another pattern that I made with the same background string that I just think is really cute. Like, this is what I was talking about as well. Like, if I'm making an alpha with a multicolored string in the background, I try to keep things quite simple, so this is just one color. It is also a sparkly black string, which I don't think you can tell very well. Maybe if I shine my torch over it, you can see that it kind of sparkled a little bit. There we go. But yeah, it's a black string with kind of a black sparkle on it. I don't know, I just think it's really cute. Like, I really love this bracelet. This is also one of the only times that I did these kinds of triangle ends on an alpha pattern, and it was so fiddly that I decided I don't want to do that again, so I never did. But I think it looks cool. Yeah, I really went through a phase with cat bracelets. That's not even all of them. There's gonna be more. But I love cats. Cats are great. And there were a lot of really cute cat patterns at the time, and I'm sure there still are, so maybe I should make more of them. But this is a really cute one. I actually don't even remember what the multicolored string is that I used here. I think I got gifted this as well, because I don't recognize it. I don't remember buying it. But I think it's really cute. Like, it's obviously a very pastel, sort of another pastel rainbow variety. And I think it looks really cute. And obviously the cat, I mean, the cat is just gorgeous. There's nothing you can say about the cat. Here's some more cats. If you've been following me for a while, you probably recognize these, and this might be just as much as a nostalgia trip for you as it is for me. I made a lot of these already when I was making YouTube videos, so what a time it was. Yeah, this is another time when I did triangle ends before and after an alpha, and I don't know, I find them annoying. I end up doing things like this where I just make the ties straight out of the alpha, and I find that easier because I just find them annoying. Like, they're fine, but it just takes a long time. But I really like this pattern. I think the string that I used here was a little bit weird because I used yarn. You can see how thick it is when it comes out. Like, this is specifically yarn. It wasn't really made for friendship bracelets. Not that any string is really made for friendship bracelets. The string that I normally use is embroidery floss, which is made for embroidery. But this is specifically thicker string, which again messed with my knots a little bit. But that's also why the color change is very slow here, because it's meant for like crochet or knitting or something where you want the color change to be quite slow. But still, I like it. I think it turned out cute. And we have this one, which is another cat bracelet. I also just really like it. I like the cat. It's cute. And I like the multicolored string in the back. I think it's a really gorgeous one. And the color change happens a lot more frequently here, to the point where it happens like in one row, pretty much. And I think that's really cool. And this is my final alpha pattern for which I use a multicolored string in the back. This one is a little Junimo. This is from Stardew Valley. I think this one was a knot with me as well, as were a few of the other ones I showed, I'm pretty sure. But I think this one is really cute as well. And it's nice to see all the different kind of versions of the colors. Like, all of these are different strings that I used to have a multicolored alpha. But there we go, those are all my alphas. Let's move on to some more normal patterns. I think this is the one that I was talking about before, when I said that I made a bracelet with the rainbow multicolored string, and then I got scared of wasting it, so I left it. I also added a little bit of sparkle here, so there's a little bit of that silver, but isn't this gorgeous? I really love rainbow string in bracelets, and I think this one is really, really cute. And here is another rainbow bracelet that I made. I'm pretty sure this is also the same string. I must have made this one and the previous one very close together. This is just a gorgeous pattern. Like, I love it. It's so beautiful. Pretty sure this one was also filmed for a knot with me, but oh my god. The pattern is gorgeous, the rainbow string looks amazing in it. I love it. And because the Masha's multicolor challenge is already live, I saw a submission of someone who made this exact bracelet which is another way that you can submit, by the way. You can submit on Instagram with the hashtag Masha's Multicolors, or you can submit on Discord in the relevant channel. And someone made this and it looked gorgeous, and I love this pattern. Maybe I should make this one with a different multicolored string. I don't know. I'm also trying to inspire myself here. I already picked out the pattern that I want to do for the challenge, but maybe I just want more. I love making multicolored strings. I actually want to also, here's the next bracelet. I also want to make a video going through my collection of multicolored strings, so let me know if that's something that you want me to do. It's something that I'm going to be doing anyway, because I'm going to be trying to pick one for the challenge, but I might make a video out of it. I think that might be quite cool. But here's another one. You can really not tell really maybe which one is multicolored, because they're all so similar. But it's this one, the one in the center here. That one, it goes in different shades of green. And then we also have a sparkly green here, which is one of the outline colors. Green bracelets is not something that I tend to do. Green is not really a color that I gravitate towards. And I think I made this one as kind of a challenge for that, because I wanted to, again, push myself outside of my comfort zone, try something different, and I think it turned out quite nicely. I really like this bracelet, actually. This is one that I don't quite remember the pattern for, probably, but maybe I have it written down somewhere. Usually when I can't find patterns, I try to find my own Instagram post, and it's usually under there. Now this is one that doesn't actually use multicolored string, and that is part of the challenge rules, that if you don't have access to multicolored string, which I realize that not everyone does, you can kind of imitate multicolored string. So this is just a regular pattern, and instead of using the same color for the inside, I used all different colors. And I kind of imitated a multicolored string here. Obviously, because it's, you know, not a real multicolored string, you can kind of trace where the strings are going and how they ended up there, and the transition of the colors isn't exactly smooth, but I think it still looks really cool. And I did a similar concept here where you kind of have a gradient of a bracelet, right? It goes from one color all the way to a different color. But again, this is not a multicolored string. There was no gradient within the string. These are all separate strings that I replaced as I went through the bracelet. You can see the little stumps of string sticking out. I just went through and replaced them, similarly to how I would replace string within a alpha bracelet. And I think I also have a tutorial. Both of these were featured within the tutorial for how to do this. So if you want to, you can watch my tutorial on how to imitate multicolored string, and that will go in more detail about this topic. This is another bracelet that I think I challenged myself to make more of earthy tones. Go a little bit more brown, a little bit more green. Those are not colors that I typically do, so I tried it. And there's this multicolored string going through the center. I don't think I was enjoying making this bracelet. You can tell because it's short. Ideally, there would be another one of these here, but I don't know, maybe I wasn't enjoying it at the time. Now I'm looking at it, I think it looks quite cute, but maybe I was either running out of string or I got annoyed with it, so I made it very short. Like, it's so short that I don't know if it's not really an appropriate size. I mean, I guess I can tie it, but you see what I mean? But I think it is a cute pattern, and now looking back on it, I'm kind of sad that I didn't make another one. I think it would have looked really nice. This is a bracelet that I remember very fondly. This was at the height of my phase where I was making a bunch of bracelet with multicolored and sparkly strings, and you can tell because this uses both for both. The blue string is multicolored and got a sparkly outline. The orange string is multicolored and it's got a sparkly outline. So this is the height of that phase for me, and I think this bracelet is really cute. I like it a lot. And I like that you can combine those sorts of things. You can combine multicolored and sparkly strings. If you've got access to that, why not use it? It turns out beautifully, and I think it's really gorgeous. This was also a bracelet that I made at the height of that phase that didn't quite work. I think as I was, looking at the colors just on the side, they looked fine, but as soon as I started making it, I realized that the cream and the white definitely blended together. You can barely tell what it's supposed to be, and then also the actual multicolored string that I was using here, it goes into kind of a yellow as well, and so occasionally it just blends in all together. Like, you really have to look to be able to tell what the design is here, and I just don't think it worked. I think the loop for it is beautiful though. Like, look at that, that's gorgeous. But yeah, maybe it didn't work quite as well as I intended. This is another bracelet that I just really love. I made crimp ends for it because I just couldn't figure out how to start it properly. Looking at it now, I probably would have made like a half triangle end or something, but also crimp ends work. I don't really make these anymore because they're a bit annoying and fiddly to work with, but they work, and I just really love this bracelet. I think I made 2 of these. I say that, I think I started the second one, but I never finished it. Do you know what? I think it's here, actually. Yes, here it is. I have my box of unfinished bracelets right next to me when I film. So you're getting a bit of bonus content. This is another one of this pattern that I was making, and this is a multicolored string, but then also it's a metallic string, and that's the reason I didn't finish it, because metallic strings are annoying to work with, but I think it looks really cool. That's gorgeous. And there's more of these in there that I never ended up finishing. Like, this is a bracelet that also uses multicolored string. It's this pink and purple one. I don't know why I never ended up finishing this. Maybe I should. Well, that's a video for another time. I do actually have an unfinished bracelet collection video, which I think most of those are featured in because I never ended up finishing them since then. But maybe I'll do a video where I finish some of my unfinished bracelets. Anyway, back to this. We've got this bracelet, which also is ridiculously short. I don't know why I did that. I usually do that when I don't like the bracelet, but this is such a cute bracelet. I don't know why I didn't like it. I should have just finished it. We've got some blue variated string and some pink variated string in this one. 2 more left. We've got this one. I think in concept this was cool, but I just don't like the gray, to be honest. I think the gray washes it out a little bit and it doesn't really go with the rest of the colors. But overall, this is a really cute pattern and I really like the multicolored string that I chose here. Then we have this one, which is another spoiler for my top bracelets of all time. This is definitely going to be within that list. I just really love this pattern. I think I made a ridiculous amount of this pattern as well, and I also gave them away at some point. I don't remember what that giveaway was for, but maybe it was a competition that we were doing or something. But I made like 5 of these bracelets and gave them away to a bunch of you guys, so maybe one of you watching has one of these right now. I used this gorgeous pink and purple kind of string here for the variated string, and then I used a wonderful silver for the outline, and I just think it turned out wonderfully. And these are all of the bracelets that I have to show you today. I have definitely made more multicolored bracelets than I showed you, but of course I give some of my bracelets away, either to friends and family or sometimes through giveaways, challenges, and sometimes to my patrons. If you want to participate in the challenge, there is still time. In fact, there is no deadline at the moment. I'll be featuring some of the bracelets that you submit in my next wrap-up video, but I currently don't have plans to film that. I'll give you a heads up though. I'll post everywhere that I usually post to let you know when the deadline is approaching. So if you would like to submit, do so on Instagram, use the hashtag Masha's Multicolors. Also tag me in the post, it just makes it easier for me to find. Or you can do it through Discord. There is a special challenge channel that you can submit your pictures on. Don't forget to use the other channel to discuss the pictures because it just makes it easier for me to filter out as well. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you maybe found a pattern that you would like to make for the challenge, or just got some pattern inspiration in general. My book, The Beginner's Guide to Friendship Bracelets, is now out right there. It is out worldwide. You can buy it anywhere you typically buy books, and there is also a direct link in the description. My publisher can also help you with international shipping, so you can reach out to them with the link in the description as well. Before I go, I want to give a special shout out to my patrons, and especially my top supporters. It is with their support that I can continue making videos on this channel, so I truly appreciate it. If you also want to become a patron and support the work that I do here, the link to that is in the description as always. But in any case, thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed today's video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!